I love the concept of personas. It could literally be anything one wants it to be. Human, animal, some mythical creature that couldn't be possible to manifest in our world, as long as it represents the one behind it. The persona and its story can be as simple or as complicated as they wish. Perhaps they were just a person who loved art but was struggling to find inspiration, or they could be royalty from another dimension with creatures and concepts non-existent to us. I've loved the concept of fantasy since I was younger. Being exposed to fictional media with stories varying in quality and being fixated to the point I close off and act as if I was in their stories, waiting to be realized as one of the stars. The daydreams changing based on the media I was currently interested with at the time, alongside the personas I at least tried to bring to life. The personalities of said personas highlighted the fixation and one specific characteristic I thought I embodied, maybe adding a couple more traits if I was either daring or I was interested in it for a long period of time. However, like all things in life, the personas come and go. That is, until a particular muse approached me just after the start of 2021. Molded, reimagined, and renamed far too many times until they became this magician, trapped in an archive of stories recorded in a schematic. Their name? Moona-amouru. Listener, you may be wondering, who is this voice speaking right now? Well, behind the screen is just Ray, a teen with no title. In reality, I'm a 17-year-old leaning in between femme and androgyne presentation who is approaching their 12th and final grade under the STEM curriculum. I am ambiverted despite being an ENTPT, according to the MBTI, but personality types rarely ever define one's actual character. That only works in a story's favor. My main interest is writing. I've been scribbling stories all my life, yet I've only started taking it seriously around 6th grade. Well, as serious as a 6th grader publishing cringy fanfictions could be. The works I made were sloppy, the plots barely made any sense, and my portrayal of the character I mused were not faithful to their actual characterizations. But at least I had fun. I also like to draw, and my art journey is quite similar to my writer's journey. And in both of these interests, I never actually finished a piece that I was proud of in the long run. Maybe I'm being too harsh on myself, I don't know. One of the main reasons why I started the YouTube channel is to talk about my stories and original characters. Like many interests of mine, I struggle to find people who are passionate about the worlds they crafted and the personalities that inhabit them. There were times where I thought I found a community, but when the realization dawned that they were better off without unnecessary additions such as myself, I erased myself off the equation. So instead of seeking a space, I'll curate a space for myself. As of now, I have 4 stories I want to tell eventually, all centering around magic systems inspired by many media of interest and all centering around humanoid, insecure protagonists. First out of the 4 being La Magica Triadia, an ambitious take on the magical girl genre which aimed to incorporate mythologies from different regions of the world into its lore, characters, designs, and monsters of the week, inspired by magical girls, of course, tokusatsu, and a show produced and aired in the Philippines called Encantadia, among other things. I actually started writing this in Wattpad but unpublished it a year later as I went through it with no cohesive planning, and I felt burnt out while doing so. However, I do wish to revamp the story and share it to the world once more, from its second progression to its publishing stages. Second out of them is a story dear to my heart, as it encapsulated everything that inspired my artistic growth from my childhood to my present. The witchy society of Parchment Incantation is a softer take on fantasy whose main goals were to assure comfort, inspire one's imagination, and serves as a reminder of the people and places that's special to one. Inspired by short indie productions on YouTube and episodic fantasy series and anthologies. It is also to the friends I made throughout my life and the small city I grew up with and still currently live in, hence the goals. The third and fourth stories are not as set in stone as the previous two. The characters are not as defined and there's no set themes as of now. All I could say about them are that the third story's protagonist learns to unveil the truth about their world amidst the lies its rulers have spread, and the fourth story's protagonist defies their family as soon as they find that they would rather sacrifice their own to maintain a falsified status, all while mythologies circled around them. Here's the thing with me. My attachment to creating stories and worlds stemmed from the fact that I never really fit in. I know, quite cliche, but it's sadly common for artistic folk to feel this way growing up. Yes, I was deemed brilliant, bright, because my reading and language skills were ahead compared to the others. Deemed gifted in my formative years only to flunk grades later because I could not keep up anymore. Which led me almost failing during the middle of high school. It didn't help that I have interests that deviated from the usual norm. I wanted to play differently, wanting to find others that did want to play along to how I wanted to, but that only isolated me even further because throughout my life, I felt as if the people around me were just tolerating my presence. Brashness, loudness, meltdowns, and all. And did not care to stick around for much longer. Don't even get me started on my many insecurities that developed because of this. I don't know how to define myself outside of them, for if you cross them off the equation, you're left with a legally blind person devoid of any real personality or characteristics. Only an amalgamation of things that's meaningless for the majority. I don't know who I am, and by extension, I don't know who I want to become in the future. Which is why I'm so attached to stories and personas. I wish I was a character bound by a destiny or by a series of arcs that takes them to a definable destination because at least they have a purpose as to why they're alive. I want to live as a mere figment of someone's imagination that does not have to deal with the merry-go-round of reality because a figment does not have to deal with adversity, insecurity, and loneliness. If I had the chance to live the story of my current persona, moona-amouru, and left everything behind, I would. Because then I feel like I know my worth and I'm part of something. With this mindset, I should have been a VTuber, but I don't have enough money to commission artists for a model and videos for lore. But that did present another door. I don't know exactly who I am, but I do know what I'm good at. Granted, it's not perfect by any means, and I still have quite a lot of improvement to go, but there's nothing stopping me from showing these to a platform. There's nothing stopping me from drawing, writing, talking about the figments of my imagination, and acting as if I'm a character. There are many who use these as escapism to the point they close off from reality, but throughout the years, I kind of managed to determine the distinction between fantasy and reality despite my wishes to stay in the former. There's probably healthier ways to cope, but at least this isn't destructive to me, and it actually helps me now. I hope to stick around and share my interests and stories to you all, improving with every step I take, until I find an audience that could do the same as well, as I grow as both a writer and an artist.